Diamonds from South Africa, Justin and Lauren Stern, say that when they signed up to be Amway IBOs, they knew they would be free. It was just a matter of time. Early on in Justin's career, he realized he didn't want to spend the next 20 years working for someone else simply to have his boss's life at the end of that 20 years. To make your life what you want, Justin says, you have two choices: do more or accept less. And now, here's Justin Stern.
Everyone's got problems. So the question is, are you willing to get over your problems? Are you willing to find a solution to help you solve the problems that you have? And what this business is about, what Netu21 and the Amway Corporation is all about, is helping people solve the biggest problem they have, most probably outside health or including health, with Nutrilite and artistry. And the problem that we find most people have today is they don't have enough time and they don't have enough money, or they might have one without the other. Would you agree with me on that? That's the biggest challenge we find for most people. Now, it's very easy to solve the time problem. You know, if you've got a time problem today, it's very, very easy to solve it. We can teach you in 3 seconds how to solve your time problem. Would you like to know how? Go to work tomorrow morning, or if you've got a business, go to your business tomorrow morning and quit your job or close down your business. You've got all the time in the world you want. We've just solved your time problem. But you're going to say to me, Justin, that's pretty dumb, because I've got all the time now, but what happens to your money? It goes down, right? We can solve your money problem as well. It's Sunday morning, 11:15. It doesn't seem like any of you work on a Sunday. We can go find you another job on a Sunday. Would you like that? It's more money, isn't it? But the little bit of time you have available goes down. So understand what we're doing in this environment. What we're doing is we're unlinking that time and money problem that you have. Because for most people to make more money, it takes more time. For most people to get more time, you have to give up some money, right or wrong. So we want to show you how to unlink that time and money problem. Write this down. Nothing happens if nothing happens. Just by sitting here today in this auditorium doesn't mean you're going to succeed in this environment. You know, you wouldn't respect this business if it didn't take work, right? You wouldn't want to be in this environment if you thought you could just rock up here and in 6 months' time they can call you up as a new silver and you could be making 10,000 Rand per month. You would not respect that. Nothing is going to happen if nothing happens. When you leave here today, if you're not prepared to do anything, understand nothing is going to happen. You got that? You have to do something to get something to happen. There are only 2 ways to learn in this business. And the first way is by trial and error. And why do we have these functions? We have these functions so you don't have to learn by trial and error. Because here's a tip for you. If you want to succeed in this business and you wanted to go by trial and error, you are not going to live long enough. You are not going to live long enough to get this business done on your trial and error. The second way to learn is by experiences of other people. And that's why we have functions like this and CDs, so you can learn and fast track the program by listening to experiences of other people. Other people who might be competition to you, who are willing to help you succeed in this type of business. You don't get that in the conventional world, do you? You know, if you open up a retail outlet and you know someone who's succeeding in that industry you want to get into, do you think they're going to share their trial and errors with you? Do you think they'll give their experiences to you? You've got no chance. And the joke is, some people want to think about tapping into the experience of other people. The joke is you're going to debate whether you should buy CDs like this to tap into the experience of successful people in this industry. You don't succeed in the Netu21 system by just hanging around. Now, unfortunately, you don't have a boss. No one can fire you in this environment, which is good and bad news. But you're not going to succeed by just hanging around. But we do respect the fact that your timing might not be right now. We respect the fact that it might take you 5, 10 years for your timing to get right. There's stories of many people that hang around the system and just stick it out until the timing's right for them. But understand, you're not going to succeed and make money by just hanging around in the Netto 21 system. The Netto 21 system won't make you rich. Right? Understand that. The system will not make you rich. The system will equip you to become wealthy and achieve in this environment. Just because you've joined up on the CEP program or just because you're part of a system doesn't mean you're going to succeed. Nothing happens if nothing happens. It's totally up to you. So when you join this business, you become what we call an independent business owner. You own your own business, which is great. It's good news for some and it's bad news for others. Because most people cannot get anything done if they don't have a boss telling them what to do, right? Good and bad news. You don't have a boss in this environment. What we do is we work with a team and show people how to adapt a slight change in thinking to help you get different results. You know, it's the old story. If we said to everybody, just for a second, if you can humor me here, and I'm sure you've heard this on many CDs before, if we said to everybody, if you could just fold your arms for 1 second. Now, if I said to you, fold your arms the other way, it doesn't feel right, does it? It doesn't feel right to be in a business environment to see what you saw on stage last night. You don't get that at your normal accounting convention, do you? We do things differently to create different results. And here's a quick story about adapting a change in thinking. On Monday, Fred, an old country farmer, bought a mule from Luke, another old farmer, for $100. Luke promised to deliver the mule the next day. On Tuesday, Luke drove up and said, "Sorry, Fred, but I have some bad news for you. The mule died." Fred, "Well, then just give me my money back." Luke, "Can't do that. I went and spent it already." Fred, "Well, okay, then just unload the mule." Luke, "What are you going to do with the dead mule, Fred?" "I'm going to raffle him off." Luke, "You can't raffle off a dead mule." "Sure I can. I just won't tell anybody he's dead." Several days later, the two farmers meet up. Luke, "Whatever happened with that dead mule?" Fred, "I raffled him off just like I said I would. I sold 500 tickets at $2 each." Luke, "Did anyone complain?" Fred, "Just the guy who won, so I gave him his $2 back." How's your thinking? Understand, in this environment, work means nothing if you're going in the wrong direction. And in any environment, work means nothing if you're going in the wrong direction. If you want to drive from here to Cape Town, which is in the southerly direction, and you put your car on the N1 highway facing a northerly direction, it doesn't make a difference how fast you drive, you're not going to get there. You got the point? Some businesses, and we're certainly not personalizing this for you, but some businesses, no matter how hard you work in conventional business, it's not going to get you where you want to go. It's like the story of a lady who phones up her husband and said, there's a traffic report on the news saying that there's one idiot on the highway driving in the wrong direction. And the husband says, "There's not one, there's thousands of them." They're all on their way to, work, wherever. So we know that people join this business. They come into this environment for two reasons. Number one, because they've got a dream. They've got something they want to achieve that they cannot achieve in their conventional job or business. Number two, people come into this environment because of a fear of loss. They're scared of losing out. They're scared of, what if it works? What if my next door neighbor or my cousin or my friend or my dad or my daughter join and I don't do it? What will their life be in 5 years? What will my life be in 5 years' time? Write this down. Most people have enough intelligence but not enough reasons. You don't have to be intelligent to figure out that wholesale is cheaper than retail, right? It doesn't take intelligence that. You don't have to be intelligent to figure out you can accomplish a lot more with a team than you can by yourself. Most people have enough intelligence when they see the presentation that they know it works, but people don't have enough reasons to join this business. And it's our job to find that reason why someone wants to get into this type of environment. That's what we do. Some people just don't have any vision. No, it's like a story I heard one of my platinums tell once. When Ernest Oppenheimer, who is a multi-millionaire, if not billionaire in the diamond industry in the early 1900s, hired a manager to look after his business, and the first morning he met up with the manager, they went for lunch. And they had a bowl of soup in front of them. And before the manager tasted the soup, the manager took some salt and put it in the soup straight away. And there and then on the spot, Sir Ernest Oppenheimer fired the manager. And the manager said, "How can you do that?" And he said, "If you're taking salt and putting it in the soup before you even tasted the soup, what are you going to do to my business before you evaluate them and see how they operate?" Some people don't have enough vision to check things out and see how things work. So what I want to do is just talk to you about building a house. That's what I want to do for the next 20 odd minutes. I want to talk to you about how you build a house. Now, how much experience do I have of building a house? 0. But I spoke to a gentleman who's building houses on a golf estate up near Lanseria Airport, one of the most exclusive estates in Africa, if not the world. And I just asked him to give me a couple of points on what you do when you build a house. If you're going to build a house from scratch, what do you do? And I want to relate those points to building this type of business, and you take out of it what you can. So the first point on building a house is it begins with a dream. What do you want in your house? Where should your house be? What should your house look like? What should your garden look like? How big should your garden be? Should you have a pool in your garden? Should you have a big pool? Should you paint it green? Should you paint it black? Should you have a double story, single story? When you start to want to build a house, those are the first things that come into your mind. Now, the relation to that in this type of business is, what is the reason that you do this business? What are you looking for in your life? What do you want your life to look like? Do you want your life to look like this in 5 years? Do you want your life to look like that in 5 years? Do you want to be there in 10 years? Do you want to be there in 3 months? What do you want your life to look like? Now, if you don't decide where you want to go, then life will just take you along with the flow. And you've just got to hope that you can enjoy that ride. Because you've got no control over where you want to be and what you want to accomplish. You're going to get distractions when you want to start building a house, because when you want to start building a house, many people will give you their opinions about whether you're building it in the right area, whether you're doing the right thing, you're putting the wrong bricks in, you're doing a whole lot of different things, right? You're going to get a lot of opinions when you join this business. You're going to get people that are going to tell you it's good, it's bad, you should do it, you shouldn't do it. A lot of people are going to give you their insight and professional opinion, but they broke, on whether you should do it or not. Because most people don't want you to succeed. Understand that. Just like me, when you got an F for maths in matric, you're hoping and praying that the whole class gets an F for maths in matric, right? You just won't admit it on a Sunday, will you? But that's what you're hoping, because you don't want to be the only one. So people don't want to see you stepping out the rat race and doing things differently. It doesn't make a difference how much milk you spill as long as you don't lose the cow. It doesn't make a difference who says what to you as long as you don't lose your dream or your reason or what you want. The second point in building a house is you acquire the land. You now got to go get the land where you want to build. So what is the land in this business? The land in this business is acquiring the right vehicle. Right? Making sure that once you've found the reasons and what you want out of life, you find the right vehicle that can help you do that. Now, we've got the vehicle. We've got the vehicle called Netto21 with the Amway Corporation. We're building teams of intellectual capital right here. So that's the second point. Acquire the land and find the right vehicle. The third point is draw the plans out, have them approved, organize a bond and other finance and legalities. P.S. Don't fight with the attorneys. They always win, don't they? Because they fight for a living. Don't fight with the system when you get into this business. Don't try to change anything in this business when you get into it. The attorney does that for a living. If you fight with them, you're going to lose. This system has been around for almost 2 decades. If you fight with the system, you're going to lose. You've got no chance. Anything that you can think up has already been encountered in this system in almost 2 decades right now. So if you want to build the business quickly, get in and follow the system that's in place. You've benefited from almost 2 decades of IBOs around the world going out and doing things wrong to get it right in this type of environment. And that's the opportunity you have. So I think you should put your hands together for Netto 21 and Jim and Nancy for putting that together. Point number 4 on building a house. Before building, identify the boundary pegs of the site and make sure it is the correct size. Before you even put a spade into the ground, you need to identify the boundary pegs of the site that you're building in. Before you even start speaking to people or doing anything in this type of business, you want to make sure that you've got a starting point. That is the boundary pegs of this business, is getting yourself a starting point and starting to go through that. Make sure that the size of your dream, point number 1, matches up to the work that you're willing to do in this type of business. Make sure that if you're here this morning and you're giving up some time and you're willing to fight for your dream, whatever you want, it matches up to the work ethic you're prepared to put into this type of business. Point number 5 of building a house. We now start to dig the foundations. Now, when you dig the foundations, you need to make sure you get the right tools to dig the foundations. You're going to see 2 examples. This house on your left is digging with the right foundations. It's building the house with the right tools. This house on your right, which is pretty small, isn't it? This is not digging with the right foundations. This is getting into building and digging with your own spade and your own bucket and your little hosepipe and trying to do things yourself. You'll see in a couple of minutes how this house looks, doing it incorrectly, yourself, your own way, compared to how this house looks when you dig the foundations correctly. If you don't dig the foundations correctly in building a house, eventually they're going to have to knock the house down and rebuild the house, digging the foundations correctly. If you don't do things correctly in this business, eventually you're going to have to come back and redo them until you're willing to do them correctly. So you get starting point. Part of digging your foundations in this business is creating a list. Putting a list together of the people that you know. Making sure that we get an extensive list. But that comes to point number 6, getting extensive list. Point number 6 in building a house is you get an engineer to inspect the foundations. Now, who's the engineer that inspects the foundations in this business? It's your upline. You've got a mentor that will come and inspect those foundations for you. They will scan that list for you. They'll go over that list for you. They'll give you more exposure to other techniques of expanding that list for you. They'll make sure that we get to what we call your chicken list. They'll make sure that they qualify that list for you. We could spend, honestly, an hour on each of these points. But unfortunately, I don't have an hour. So we're running through these points and you'll get the gist of everything. Point number 7, you pour concrete into the foundations and build the house to what they call plinth height, floor height in this example. Now, what's building the foundation? What's pouring concrete into the foundations and building the house to plinth height in this business? It's starting the phone calls. What's the point of making a list of 100 names if you or your mentor does nothing with it? It's pointless. So we pour the concrete into the foundations and start to build the house to floor height. That is now using that list to get some results. To start phoning people, to have a home meeting, to have a few one-on-ones, preferably 3 to 5, as starting point says. To get 20 people confirmed to your home meeting with your upline's help. To start seeing things happen, to start doing a couple of things yourself to create results yourself in this type of business. Now you've got a choice. You can help build the pipeline or you can watch the pipeline being built. It's your decision. You can become a participant or you can just be a spectator. It's up to you. It's your business. You choose. But we want to get things going, and to pour that concrete in, we can do it fast or slow. And there's a page in Starting Point that will tell you about building the business fast and about building the business slow. Point number 8 in building a house. We install the plumbing and the electrical conduits. Now that could be a pretty testing time in South Africa right now, the electricity. But hey, installing the plumbing and electrical conduits is getting more CDs to get some power into your business. Now, would you, and maybe you would this day and age in South Africa, but would you buy a house without electricity right now? It's not even a question you would think about. What is electricity? What is the power in this business? The power is these things. The CDs where you get knowledge. If you don't have knowledge from this, you have zero power in this business. You can turn your motor car into the best institution you want to help you learn how to build this business. By plugging these CDs into your car as you're driving around every single day. The CDs are knowledge. It's going to help you. Your upline doesn't have enough time to sit down with you and teach you everything. Point number 9 in building a house. Check above to make sure everything is correct. Make sure that you're sitting with your upline on a regular basis, counseling, finding out what my next goal is. Maybe it's Pacesetter for you. Maybe it's Leaders Club. Don't take counsel specifically from all the CDs, because some of the CDs might not apply to you right now. There might be a CD that's made for certain people at a certain level in the business, which is not ready for you just yet. So don't take all the knowledge from the CDs as gospel. Check up with an upline and make sure that that applies to you. Just as what I'm saying this morning, don't take it from me. Check with your upline that these points apply to you. Point number 10. Pour concrete onto the slab. Hopefully the wonderful client won't change his or her mind with regard to where his plugs and plumbing points should be right now. Now, what is pouring concrete onto the slab in this example? It's getting Leaders Club set up. How do you set up Leaders Club for yourself? Well, one of the characteristics or one of the requirements of Leaders Club is that you personally add 5 people to the business yourself from your list. Your upline will help you add those 5 people in, hopefully, or certainly a couple of them. But to set up Leaders Club for yourself, you want to add 5 people to the pipeline. Now, if you've got a good list and you know how to make the phone calls with the team, it is easy to add those 5 people in. If you haven't followed the steps up to now and you don't have a good list and you're not willing to do the phone calls, it's very difficult to get those 5 people in. If your upline is willing to do the calls on your behalf, hey, maybe you've got a great upline, go for it. But you still need a good list. Most people, when they're building a house, change it about 35, 45 different times where the plug point should be, the light should be, and so on. They question whether it should be there or should be there. Once you're in the system, don't question the system. The system works. Sell out to what you want to achieve. You've heard Peter speak last night, and I'm sure he will again this morning. Don't care what other people think. This is your dream. This is your house. It needs to be the way you want it. You're going to live in the house. Your best friend's not going to live in the house. Don't build the house according to what your best friend wants. Build the house according to what you want. It's your house. And most people get into this business and they're worried what their friends think. I mean, do me a favor. What do you care what your friend thinks? If you're a doctor and your friend doesn't come to you, are you going to quit becoming a doctor? If you're a real estate agent and your friend goes and buys a house from a different real estate agent, are you going to quit real estate agency? Property. If you're a lawyer and your friend goes to a different lawyer, are you going to quit becoming an attorney or lawyer because your friend didn't come to you? So why in this environment do you have to check with your friend? Maybe your friend doesn't want a house. Maybe your friend's happy in what they're doing. We're talking about your future and what you want. That's what we're talking about this morning. But too many people are influenced by their friends and what they want. Point number 11, we build the brickwork to roof height. This is going to be a single-story house. So all roof height is in this example is we get Leaders Club finished. You know, when you see a house up to roof height, it looks like something's happening. So what's roof height in this example? We get 10 in your first pipeline, 5 in your second pipeline, 5 on CEP. You personally added 5, 1,200 points done in this market, and it's Leaders Club completed. You've built the house to roof height. Not too difficult to do. Point number 12, we fit the plumbing and electrical points into the wall. This is called the permanent fix. What is the permanent fix in this business? It's something called core and following what the principles of core is. And doing that until you're where you want to be. That is the permanent fix. It's being on the CEP program. It's coming to the functions. I would rather drive the worst car on this planet with a tape deck or CD player in it than the most expensive car you can get on this planet without a CD player and a tape deck. Because my mind is more powerful than any vehicle they have on this planet. Point number 13, we erect the roof trusses, the roof tiling, the waterproofing. And what does the roof and the roof trusses and the waterproofing do? Well, it protects you from the elements. The functions in this environment are going to protect you from the elements that we have. Now, what functions do we have? Well, every week there's an open plan or a business preview in your area. That is the first characteristic in the system that's going to protect you from the elements in terms of functions. We have a BBS generally once a month, a weekend seminar every 3-4 months. If you're not plugged into that, you're not protected. If you leave here this afternoon without that ticket, you're not protected from the elements. Trust me. We don't know if we're going to be seeing you at the next function in July. Point number 14. Before plastering, check that the plumbing and electrical points are correct. Now, what is the plumbing and the electrical points and the plastering in this business? Right? And what is making sure that it's correct? Have you ever been into a house where the electrical points, the plumbing and the plastering is not done correctly? You ever seen houses like that? Right? There seems to be a lot more of those in South Africa these days because they're just throwing up houses everywhere. Make sure what you are doing is correct in this business because everything duplicates. What you do is going to duplicate. If you do things incorrectly, your downline are going to do things incorrectly. Every little thing you do in this business, you want to check with an upline to make sure that it duplicates correctly. Duplication is the best gift you can give to someone else in this environment. And if you're doing things incorrectly, they're going to do things incorrectly. Then you've just stuffed it up. So before you go out and do a whole lot of things, everything you do, when you're doing it for the first couple of times, check upline. Make sure it duplicates what you're doing. Point number 15, we plaster the house. This is my favorite part. Get the right mix. Because inferior mix will always make sure that when you walk past the house and you just touch a corner like this, there's a chip in the wall, isn't there? Hey, I'm sorry to the builders in this country. But most houses that I've seen and I walk into, you touch the wall and there's a little chip out the wall. Because the right mix is not put in. There's too much sand or too much water or too little concrete or whatever it is. Now, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your friend who's a builder. Make sure you've got the right mix in this business. The right mix is becoming a core 15 planner and listening to the CDs and being at the functions. That will give you the right mix in your head to make sure that you're strong, that you can build this business. Point number 16, we put the ceilings in. Now, would you agree with me? Once you put the ceilings in a house, it starts to look like a house. Yeah? Right? So what is the ceilings in this business? Well, it's taking ownership. It's making sure that you know you own this business. It is yours. Your business doesn't belong to anybody else in this room. It belongs to you. You've got a partnership with an upline and maybe several uplines who are willing to help you, but it's your business. You own it. The day you take ownership of this business, you'll start to set yourself free. But until you rely on everybody else to do everything for you, no chance. Point number 17, we install the door frames, the window frames. This could be done before you plaster, but for this example, we're doing it now. What's installing the door frames and the window frames? It's learning more techniques. So by the time you get to this stage, you're going to learn a couple of new techniques. You're going to learn things like prospecting. You're going to learn things like how to work in a team and how to work better with people. And maybe some people skills. Those things are starting to come into the business right now. Point number 18. Now that the house is plastered, the client will definitely ask you to move the light points. When you take ownership of your business and you're doing it yourself, you're going to start to question the system even more. Because it doesn't go on your instinct. Most of our instincts is conventional thinking. This is different thinking. Don't question the system. Follow what's laid out there for you. Because you're going to come back and ask for way more help when you take more ownership. Trust me, every leader in the frontier will tell you that. Point number 19, and we almost finished building the house. Tiling, glazing, hanging doors, skirting, ceilings, cornices, sanitary ware. This is now starting to perfect the house. It's starting to get everything in. It's starting to perfect your performance in your business. That's what we're starting to do right now. It's starting to make sure that we're getting results for you, that you're equipping other people, that you're starting to duplicate what you're getting done in your business. Next point, I think it's point number 20, get into the rhythm. Right? Get into the rhythm of the system. What is that in terms of building a house? This is putting all the cupboards, the kitchens, the vanities, the tiling. The client will definitely ask you now to move some taps and toilets. Again, you're going to question the more you do, follow the system. And the last point on building a house is put in the carpets and treat the customer right and make sure you can try and get your money as a builder. Now, let me tell you about treating people right. Here's a quick story. His name was Fleming, and he was a poor Scottish farmer. One day, while trying to make a living for his family, he heard a cry for help coming from a nearby hole in the ground. He dropped his tools and ran to the hole. There, emerged to his waist in black muck, was a terrified boy screaming and struggling to free himself. Farmer Fleming saved the lad from what could have been a slow and terrifying death. The next day, a fancy carriage pulled up to the Scotsman's sparse surroundings. An elegantly dressed nobleman stepped out and introduced himself as the father the boy Fleming had saved. "I want to repay you," said the nobleman. "You saved my son's life." "No, I can't accept your payment for what I did," the Scottish farmer replied, waving off the offer. At that moment, the farmer's own son came to the door of the family house. "Is that your son?" the nobleman asked. "Yes," the farmer replied. "I'll make you a deal. Let me provide him with the level of education my own son will enjoy. If the lad is anything like his father, he'll no doubt grow to be a man we both will be proud of." And that he did. Farmer Fleming's son attended the very best schools and in time graduated from St. Mary's Hospital Medical School in London. And went on to become known years afterwards as the same nobleman's son, then to become known throughout the world as the noted Sir Alexander Fleming, the discoverer of penicillin. Years afterwards, the same nobleman's son, who was saved from the hole in the ground, was stricken with pneumonia. What saved his life this time? Penicillin. The name of the nobleman? Lord Randolph Churchill. His son? Sir Winston Churchill. Someone once said, "What goes around comes around." How are you treating people? Let me show you how these houses look. Here's the house that you built yourself. And the gents will help me with the other one. Here's your house. That's your way. Pretty good, isn't it? If you don't follow the system. This is the way of Network 21 and the system of building a house. Thanks. Pretty nice house when you do it right, isn't it? Now, I know you're not going to remember one of the points I've just told you for the last 30-odd minutes. Not one of them you're going to remember, but you'll remember that pile of bricks on the floor, and you'll remember that house. So the message is, whenever you start questioning the system, decide what you want. Do you want a house that looks like that, or do you want a house that looks like that? What would you prefer? This house even has electricity over here. You decide what you want. How do you want to build the house? Because improvement is not going to depend on other people. Improvement in this environment depends on yourself. It depends on what you're willing to do. See, the beauty of life right now is you've got a choice. You can face life with anticipation, or you can face life with apprehension. It's your choice. Now, if you don't choose, life will choose for you. And you must probably face life with apprehension. Now, that's a lot of stress, isn't it? To face life every single day with apprehension. To face life worried about what other people think. To face life worried about outside variables, interest rates, petrol prices, the economy. The economies around the world are not doing too good right now. We've just shown you a plan B that can help save some of your problems. Understand we're getting paid in this environment to produce results. Again, for the 5th time. These CDs and DVDs and the functions help produce results. And some of you are going to want to think about tapping into them. Well, good luck. There's your house. You can see it. 10 bricks on the floor. Good luck living in that place. Most people believe that they're going to just wake up one day and they'll be filthy, stinking rich. and they got it half right, they will wake up. As Nancy Dornan says, dig the well before you need the water. The first steamboat, and I found this very funny, the first steamboat took 32 hours to go just 10 kilometers. And everyone laughed. A horse and buggy was passed by an early model car. People laughed. The first flight took 59 seconds. People laughed. They said they'll put a man on the moon, and people laughed. You joined this business, and people laughed. But that's okay. Laughing doesn't put money in the bank account. This business puts money in the bank account. You can laugh last as long as you want if you want. We realize, please don't get me wrong, we realize not everybody is ready to build this business right now. We know that. We know some of you are just here today to be part of a team and a system, and we respect that. We know not everybody's ready to build right now. We also know that not everybody listens. We know that. Let me give you an example. If everyone can just make a right fist for me very quickly. No, don't hit anyone, just a right fist. Now, if I say to you, put your right fist in your left hand. Okay? Now push with your right fist. There might have been one person that listened. When I said push with your right fist, I didn't say push back with your left hand. If you listened, you'd be like this. So if you're not going to listen, what do you think your downline's going to do? That's why we teach deliberately what we do instinctively. Everything we do is deliberate. Do you know the difference between a chicken and an eagle? This is a chicken. For you animal lovers, and like me too, this is not a real chicken. Now, the difference between a chicken and an eagle is most people get in this business and they want to teach a chicken how to fly. And as long as you live and I live, a chicken is not going to fly. And they go register someone in the business. They don't follow what we said. They register one person in the business, one. Their best friend joined. And they say to their best friend, hey, chicken, fly. And the chicken just looks back at them. And they throw the chicken in there and they say, hey, chicken, fly. And the chicken's not interested. And they say, come on, chicken, just fly. And the chicken just says this back to them. Fly, chicken, fly. Chicken's not interested in flying. And we tell you that to succeed in this business, you're going to have to introduce about 20 people if you want to get to that 10 to 15,000 a month level. But you don't believe us. So you're still saying, hey, chicken, fly. Come on, fly, chicken. Fly. And you tell the chicken to come to the weekend seminar, and the chicken's not interested. So you throw the chicken up again, and you say, chicken, come on, fly. And the chicken's still not interested in flying. When you realize something that's very, very important, when you realize and you go and you put the chicken down here and you love them and you let the chicken grow and you let them play around and you go find an eagle and you find the one that's willing to do it, that's when your business will grow. But if you're waiting for that chicken to fly, you've got no chance. And some of you have been waiting years to get a chicken to fly. And the only time the chicken's going to fly is when he falls off the stage. He's going to fly a meter down to the bottom. He ain't going to fly. Trust me, this little man is never, ever, ever, ever flying. But we don't throw the chicken away. And I know it doesn't happen in the real world, but one day he might turn into an eagle. Or one day the chicken might lead you to an eagle. Understand who you're looking for. There's a Latin proverb that goes, and it says, if there's no wind, row. If you don't have an eagle in your business, you keep rowing until you find that eagle in your business. You just keep going. Leave this weekend seminar in a couple of hours' time, willing to commit to things. The first thing you want to commit to, and it will certainly be covered in a couple of minutes' time, is learn how to show the presentation. We're not interested in how good your presentation is. We're not interested in how bad your presentation is. All we're interested for the time being is that you show the presentation and you show lots of presentations. Let me tell you about showing lots of presentations. A story that made a lot of sense to me. The ceramics teacher announced on opening day that he was dividing the class into 2 groups. All those on the left side of the studio, he said, would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. All those on the right side, solely on the quality of work they produced. His procedure was simple. On the final day of class, you'd bring a bathroom scale and weigh the work of the quantity group. 50 pounds of pots is an A, 40 pounds of pots is a B, and so on. Those being graded on quality, however, needed to produce only 1 pot, albeit a perfect one, to get an A. Well, came grading time and a curious fact emerged. The works of the highest quality were all produced by the group being regarded for quantity. It seems that while quantity group was busy churning out piles and piles and piles of work, learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat theorizing about perfection, and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than a grandiose theories in a pile of dead clay. The more you do, the better you get. You cannot get into this business being good. So learn how to show the plan. Learn how to sponsor people. Your upline will teach you. There's a difference between sponsoring people into this business and sponsoring them into this business to get them to do things. Your upline can show you that. Learn how to promote the system. We've spoken about that. Promote your product. Enough has been said about that this weekend. Take ownership. Just like any business, you need to own this. And my wish for you this weekend is make sure your knowledge leads to action. Right? It's no use walking out of here in a couple of hours' time and letting your learning just lead to knowledge, not letting it lead to action. Because you've got a lot of knowledge from this weekend seminar, but if it doesn't lead to action, it's absolutely worthless and won't help you one bit. Let me tell you and finish off on this while we know you can succeed in this business. If I could prove to you in the next 20 seconds that you could beat the odds in this business, will you guarantee me that you'll do this business? I will prove to you in 20 seconds that you can beat the odds to build this business. Let me tell you why. Because you've already beaten the odds before. See, for you to be here today, sitting in a seat, if you beat those odds, man, you could beat any odds to build this business. Thank you and have a good time.